Chapter 10. There's a group of 3 boys in family tent 1. They're big, almost grown to men. Mostly the rest of us all just keep well away from those boys, but there's just so much keeping away you can do when you're all locked in family together. The way Queenie tells it is that they've been here too long is all. She reckons they used to be just like me, except maybe not so annoying. Harvey thinks they're bored is all, but I get bored and I don't get mean the way these boys do. I won't either, no matter how long I'm here. Eli reckons they just aren't worth spit. The jacket should have taken those boys to Alpha instead of Eli. Eli is the only one who can keep those boys from working up to crazy. He's the only one who can talk them into quiet. And it isn't just because he can get them stuff without even having to swap. Those boys would listen to Eli anyway. Eli's like that. He knows how to make people see things right. Before Eli came to family, when I was still little, those boys used to trap the rats. There are lots of rats here, but mostly they don't do any harm. Sometimes at night they might try a little nibble on any fingers and toes hanging out of the bed, but they run real quick when you move. Queenie says she woke up one night and a rat was nibbling away at her nose. I reckon she made that up to scare me. I told Queenie to make those boys stop their trapping, but she just told me to tell them myself and stop being such a piss-pants. She said if a rat was dumb enough to fall for the trap, then it deserved to die. Her face was all twisted when she said it, though. I told Harvey about the traps, but he said that anything that got rid of the rats was a good thing, and didn't I know that they carried germs and disease? I told Harvey that rats were fine and all you had to do was ask those rats not to nibble on you and give them some rice to nibble on instead. Harvey looked at me with his eyes open wide and said that he was going to pretend he didn't hear that and I wasn't going to do it any more, right? I said right, but that ruined the deal I had going with the rats, so then my fingers were in as much danger as everyone else's. Eli, he wouldn't let those boys make their traps, though. He couldn't care about the rats, but he saw my face when I heard them squeal, and then he went and told those boys that they weren't to trap the rats any more, like there wasn't any way round it. He went and broke every one of their traps right there in front of them, too. Later, those boys hid behind the tents until Eli went for a piss, and then they jumped him with sticks. They didn't make the traps again, though. They even said sorry to Eli, but Eli reckons that was only because they wanted to join the package delivery business. Mostly, we all just keep away from those boys, but sometimes you can't. I'm waiting by the fence for Eli, because he didn't come yet like he was meant to after breakfast yesterday, and he didn't come the day before that either. And even though Harvey told me that Eli is doing just fine in Alpha, I won't believe it until I've seen him myself. Then I see him coming and my smile pulls up my mouth because Harvey was right. Harvey's always right. Eli's doing just fine. I can tell by his walk, all full of strong, that he's got those men worked out just like he gets everyone worked out. Hey, little man, where's your shoes? When I don't answer, Eli puts his hand through the fence and lifts my chin so I'm looking him in the eye. Seeing him looking at me like that, I can't stop my eyes from watering and I wish more than anything that Eli was still in family with me, because Eli, he made everything okay. I couldn't stop them, Eli. I tried. My voice is all croaking and quiet. They were just too big. They even took my pants. I showed him the rubber band bunching the sides together, so the 2 big ones Queenie scrounched for me can't fall down. And I pull my face away so I'm not looking at Eli, but down at the ants scuttling around in the dirt, not a bit bothered by us. And they took the business too. They made me show them where the stash was. Everything. But Eli smiles and tells me to shush, that it doesn't matter and he was tired of running the package delivery business anyway. Let him have it. It wouldn't have worked with me in here anyway, little brother. I was about to come and tell you to hand it over anyhow. And who needs shoes, hey? It doesn't matter that Eli is lying through his teeth, as Harvey says, because Eli, he makes everything all right. I guess we'll have to just make do with stealing our own underwear and water and soap when we need it, he says, like it's the easiest thing in the world. I've already decided I'm not going to bother stealing toothpaste. It doesn't matter what Eli says. I don't reckon good teeth are worth it. The 2 of us sit down in the dirt and Eli points up at the sky, right at that sun. He doesn't even blink to get the bright away. Sometimes, subby, the sun is so burning hot that it sends these massive balls of fire straight at the earth. And the fire is so strong and hot that it could destroy the whole planet. But down here on Earth, we're protected, right? So all we see are beautiful lights that dance across the sky. People come from all over just to see those lights dance. You can't see them from here, not ever, but someday, subby, you and me will go see those lights boogie through the dark, yeah? Eli wiggles his bum in the dirt and grins. Hey, cheer up, bud. It could be worse. They could have put me over an echo and then we'd be talking to each other through the toilets instead of through the fence. He waits for me to smile, but it's not so funny. I'll see you tomorrow, yeah? Even though I wish he could stay longer, I nod. I don't tell Eli that those boys were already making their rat traps again. I don't tell Eli that after those boys took my shoes and my pants and our packages, they walked me to a trap. I don't tell Eli how those boys pushed me right up close and showed me a little baby rat, its eyes not even open yet, sniffing around for its ma. I don't tell Eli how those boys said I was to kill it. I told those boys to jam it. I told those boys that they could beat me with sticks as much as they wanted and I still wouldn't kill a thing. I told those boys that they weren't worth spit, and then I went and broke all their traps so they'll never build them again. Except I didn't. Except I couldn't. I don't tell Eli. And after, when I wiped that blood and fur off my hands and onto the dirt, the rats, all hidden in the shadows, watched me and shook their heads and turned away. I don't tell Eli any of that. Instead I say, "See you tomorrow then," and I watch him strong walk back to his tent. I spend the next 5 nights watching the sky, watching for those lights to dance, even though Eli says we can't see them from here, not ever. Ma always used to tell me that sometimes not ever can change. It doesn't, though. Not for me. It's been 8 nights now. 8 nights since the girl came. 8 nights of lying in my bed pretending to sleep, my breath sucking in with waiting until the breathing in the rest of the tent slows, and most of the eyes are shut enough not care if I'm in my bed or not. 8 nights of sitting outside with no night sea and no dancing lights and no girl, just red dirt going on forever and ever. And me, the duck says. Don't forget 8 nights of my sparkling wit and fascinating conversation. But I know that duck is as twitchy as me, waiting to see if the girl is as real as we remember her. Harvey says sometimes your brain can play tricks on your eyes and ears too, I guess, and ever since that night I've been trying to work out if that girl is a trick or real. I still haven't told Eli about her. We don't get much time alone to talk now that he's an alpha. He's made sure to meet me at the fence every day and we chat, but it's not like before. Now, wherever we are, there are eyes on us and ears pricked, even though nothing we've got to say is very interesting anyway. Maybe I am going crazy. Maybe a cockroach has climbed all the way in my ears like they do sometimes. Except this time I didn't notice quick enough to get the doc to tweezer it out. Maybe it climbed all the way in and all the way down to my brain, and it's making me see and hear things. Just as I'm telling the duck that I've had about enough of waiting, and I must be going crazy thinking some girl could have magicked right through those fences when there's no way she could have done, and the Shakespeare duck is saying right back that the only crazy bit is sitting and talking to a rubber duck, then there she is, as real and beautiful as I remember, even in the deep dark. That's her, the Shakespeare duck quacks. I reckon he's even more excited than me. Don't forget to find out her name this time, he reminds me. He's getting kind of bossy for a rubber duck. The girl sits down next to me and wipes her nose on her arm, so the silver trail from it glints in the light from the moon. "Is that your duck?" she asks, her voice all whispery so we won't be heard. When I don't answer, she nods like I've explained the whole lot myself. She twirls a big black feather around and around in her fingers, and all I can do is watch the way the feather spins through the dark, like it has its own light shining up out of it. "So how long have you been in here for?" "Forever," I say, my shoulders shrugging off her question like it makes no difference. "I was born here." After that she doesn't say much for a bit, just keeps twirling that feather around while I watch. It catches the light from the moon, a smudge of a whole rainbow of colours caught inside that one feather. "What about your family?" "I've got a sister, Queenie, but she's pretty rubbish mostly, and my ma. And my dad is on his way, but not here yet. And Eli is my best friend and just as good as a brother, better than Queenie." The girl nods some more. "My mum's dead," she said. "She got this fever one time and something in her brain just popped, that's how the doctor said. And that was it. She was just dead, sitting right there on the bathroom floor." "Oh," I say, and I try not to think what that might have looked like. "I also have a brother, Jonah. He's 16 and meant to be in charge when my dad works his long shifts. Jonah's not much good at it, though. When his friends come round, they always end up drinking too much beer, and he forgets that he's meant to look out for me. He's an all right brother, though. He always brings me a chocolate bar to say sorry, and he's going to get me a bike for my birthday. He promised. And anyway, I wouldn't really care about being on my own, except that there's no one else around for miles. Sometimes I think that there's someone outside coming to get me, and that no one would hear my screams. I guess maybe I've watched too many horror films with Jonah. Oh, I'm Jimmy, by the way." She picks up my hand and shakes it up and down. Nice to meet you. From inside my pocket I hear the duck say, My, she's quite the talker, isn't she? Anyway, Jimmy pulls out a torch from her pocket. It's much smaller than the ones the jackets carry, but when she turns it on, it flashes a light so bright that I grab at it and shove it down into the dirt. Someone'll see, I hiss. Only the jackets have torches. It's a good thing that Jimmy can't hear the duck talking, because what he's saying isn't particularly friendly. Well, where can we go then? The two of us look at each other and I get to feeling that maybe I'm not understanding this girl so well because I have no idea what she's talking about. Go, I say. Then she reaches into her pocket and waves her book under my face. I've read everything there is to read in family, even the books with the endings ripped out, and the magazines from before I was born, and the stuff I don't really understand, and the stuff that's really boring, like the folder with emergency phone numbers and instructions. Once I got so bursting to read that I swiped the instruction manual for fitting out the new container block for the rec room. By the time I was finished, I was even more bored than when I started, but I could see straight off where the outside men have built it all wrong. They always use outside men to build stuff, even though people in here want to help. We're not allowed to use tools. To read my mum's stories. You said you could read. Jimmy looks at me now as though maybe I can't read, as though maybe I've tricked her. I don't have long, Kay? She stands up and pulls me up by my shirt. At least she's turned a torch off. The only place I can think to go is the blind spot over by Alpha. I haven't been back to that corner since Beaver found me, but at least the cameras can't see and the bushes will hide the torchlight. Come on then, I say. I take Jimmy's wrist in the dark and lead her around the back of the tents, keeping right close to the canvas so we can't be spotted in the shadows. The duck shouts at me from my pocket. Are you sure this is sensible? This doesn't seem very sensible. It's only a book of stories. I can tell you a story when you're nice and safe and tucked up in bed. Listen, here we go. Once upon a time there was a duck. But knowing that Jimmy has a whole real book in her hands gives me a sort of brave that I haven't felt since Eli got taken. My fingers are tingling just thinking about touching those pages. I pull Jimmy into the corner and lean against the brick, still warm from being soaked in the sun all day. Now that I've stopped, my legs start shaking and I have to squeeze them together to keep them still. I guess they aren't feeling as brave as the rest of me. From here we can see the Jackets' rec room and can spot their torches as soon as they come out for their rounds. I'll have time to scoot around back to Family Tent 3 and get into bed before they've even left Family 1. I reckon Jimmy will be okay on her own. She seems like the kind of kid to have a plan. We sit down in the dirt, squashed in together behind a bush, and Jimmy stares at the book in her hands for a while. It's Mum's. She said that already, but I don't say. I wonder how it would feel to have a book of my Ba's stories and poems, and no Ba to tell them, not ever, not even someday. Jimmy keeps staring at the book like she's trying to decide if she's ready to hand it over or not. The cover of the book is torn, and all the pages are brown and curling over from its being so old and touched. The whole thing is stitched together with string that seems thin enough to break, just from being looked at. This was Mum's too. The girl fiddles with something hanging around her neck. I shine the torch on it, just for a second, my fingers covering most of the light. It's a bird, its wings spread out and flying high on the wind. The only thing I can think of is the bird sitting waiting for me on my pillow, and what Queenie said that meant. When Jimmy says, "It's a sparrow carved from bone," my breath pulls in tight. I drop the torch and move away so quickly that my head smacks back on the brick wall Beaver shoved me into and sends a sick feeling all the way down to my toes. Jimmy looks at the scared on my face and laughs. It's not that bad, although I guess his eye is kind of creepy. She picks up the torch and shines it back on the bird, and even though I don't want to look, my eyes are sucking it up and holding me there. That bone bird makes me feel strange all over, and my brain gets to thinking that Queenie is right, that the sparrow in the house meant death, and here it is, come to collect me now. I can feel my skin turning cold and wet. A tingle creeps up my neck and makes me shiver, even with my back right up against the hot of those bricks, and I wonder if maybe I shouldn't be sitting out here in the dark by myself, with a girl I don't know, wearing a symbol of death around her neck. The duck hisses, "I told you so, but you never listen. No, no, no." And now I can hear my throat catching, so that when I try to talk, my voice comes out all wobbly and strangled. "Does it mean death or something?" Jimmy just laughs. "Course not. Why would it? Because it's bone. My mum says it gives us luck and protection. She said all the souls of everyone in our family, all our stories and everything, rub right into that bone, and he keeps us together. But then she went and died. That's pretty crappy protection in my opinion, and not very good luck. It's probably just a stupid story anyway." So why do you wear it, I ask. I guess just in case, maybe. Maybe if Mum wasn't wearing it, she would have died even sooner. Maybe it's a different kind of luck. I don't know, do I? I have nothing to say to that. For a moment we're just quiet, neither one saying a thing, and that quiet ballooning up and filling the air around us. My breath has gone back to normal, and my heart isn't pounding quite so hard, but I'm still not sure about that bird. Finally I touch the book. Jimmy, can we read some of your mum's stories now? And without saying another word, Jimmy hands me the book and closes her eyes to listen.